Hi, I'm David Thornburg, President and CEO of the Committee of 70, the long-standing good government group in Philadelphia that helps to educate and engage voters and to advocate for better politics and better government in Philadelphia. We have an election coming up, a primary election on May 21st. Running for office, in our view, is a job interview. It's a chance for candidates to talk to voters and convince them that they're right for the job. And to further that, we're holding a series of interviews with city council candidates. And we've offered all of them, there are over 50 candidates running all told, but we've offered all of them a chance to sit down with us for about 15 minutes and talk about what they care about, what they've done, and how we can fix what's broken. So joining us today is Eryn Santamoor. Eryn, welcome.
Thank you for having me today.
Uh, Full disclosure, Eryn and I know each other because I ran the Fells Institute of Government before I came to 70, and Eryn was a graduate at Fells, so we have a history, I guess. Eryn, beyond that, and the Fells credential is an important one. She's running for council at large, lives in Fairmount. She was a city official in the Nutter administration, also worked for public financial management here in Philadelphia, which does advisory work around the country with local governments. So we're going to talk to Eryn for about 15 minutes, and let me just start by asking the most fundamental and the most basic question in the job interview, which is, why do you want this job? Why are you running?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important questions, and the question I get the most. I think in this day and age, there's a lot of reasons why people should run for office, and certainly I have many, but I think it's important to highlight two. One, we don't have enough qualified women who are running for office. I think nationally and locally, we have a problem of underrepresentation among women. I decided to step up so we can start filling out that bench a little bit better. I also decided to run because of my family's story of addiction, alcoholism, and recovery. I don't think that we have enough folks really focusing on some of the behavioral health, emotional health issues that are really holding back so many Philadelphians from being successful. I really want to be an advocate in this space and help show people that there's a way to get through this with the right supports and with government as part of your team. I think government can do great things. I've spent my whole career in the public sector. I've learned how to govern, how to do that transparently, which I know something Committee of 70 appreciates. And I know how we can be better. And so I want to bring kind of a different skill set and mindset to City Council and try to move the needle a little bit in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Your second point is a point that we get, that the city is one of the largest providers of human services, of
Yeah.
health services, of dealing with the kinds of issues that you talked about. I think all told, Philadelphia sends, I want to guess, $1.5 billion every year on
Yep.
that package of
Yep.
services. And
Yep.
it's not, we think of the city as picking up the trash and schools and streets and so forth, but that's a huge part of it.
Yep.
So talk to us a little bit about how council influences what happens in that world of mental health, behavioral health, child welfare, those kinds of issues.
Yeah, I think, well, first, I always like to remind everyone we're both a city and a county. So much of what we do as a county function through DHS and some of our public health resources is really important to acknowledge. And the city of Philadelphia is not just a $5 billion budget, it's a $12 billion budget. And a lot of that money is tied up outside of our general fund. And so we really need to be thoughtful about implementing that $1 billion. And right now, city government is so siloed and how we spend money and how we push out resources generally into our neighborhoods. I'd like City Council to think more comprehensively about that support package. We don't put it all together for people to say, hey, this is what we're spending on anti-poverty initiatives. This is what we're spending on anti-violence initiatives. We sort of expect people to go to each department and figure it out to try to see if we're getting impact. I want to pool all of that together in city council so we could be more open and honest about what we're actually spending and whether or not we're getting anywhere with that spending. And I think city council plays a real role in that, both in representing communities and going around this city to share with people what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it.
Yeah.
I think people deserve the right to know what their tax dollars are being spent on and whether or not that's moving the needle.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the advocacy I want to make sure I'm doing out in city council and around neighborhoods.
That reminds me, sometime back, I think in the street administration, they put together an interesting report that looked at what we were spending on children in Philadelphia, which, to your point, cuts across education and social services and mental health services and medical services and so forth. It's a big number.
It's a huge number.
And, and then the question is, as you said, are we moving the needle? Is the life of a child growing up today better than it was 10 years ago or what have you? Let me move to the second piece of our questions, which is, frankly, it's easier to talk prospectively. Here's what I'd like to do. But our view of the job interview, as any job interview, is and should be as much about what have you done.
Yeah.
So what have you done in the course of your career that's made a difference to Philadelphia or to a set of communities in Philadelphia that people should know about?
Yeah, I think one of the most telling things about me is the time I spent in Philadelphia city government as deputy managing director. We really pushed the status quo of city government. We encouraged it to be better by talking about a couple of things and building programs like Philly 311 and Philly Stat, which was really our opportunity to listen to communities and engage with them differently and then do something with that engagement information. We were one of the last major cities to get a call center like 311. You shouldn't have to know somebody in city government to get the services you deserve, but you should just let us know if you have a problem, and we're on the hook for fixing it. So we created Philly 311 along with a Philly Stat program. And the Philly Stat program was really where we brought all sorts of officials together. We put it on Government Access Channel. We put all of our reports and presentations out on our website, and we shared with people what we were asking departments to do. And part of what we were asking them to do is to build customer service standards. What is it that you do now, and what promises can we make to people who call? So if you call on a pothole and we tell them that you can fill that pothole, or you should expect that we'll fill that pothole within 48 hours, did we do that? How often did we do that? And if we didn't, why didn't we? And so it really opened up this new kind of relationship with the people who live and work here. And I thought that was a really important piece of the Nutter administration and really took this city to a new level of transparency.
Yeah.
Part of that also included really changing how we did things. As I started to look at trash collection, the things that aren't sexy in life, but the services that everyday citizens depend upon. We all throw our trash out every week. So I started looking at how much we were spending doing it, and were we inventing and innovating in these spaces. And we got some new and interesting things going. We call them process improvements in city government. And that's where you started to see things like big bellies come into play. We started talking about how could we reduce the number of times we have to send trash trucks into our most congested areas. You can do that by
nothing like getting caught behind a trash truck.
Right, in Center City, in the middle of traffic jam, there's nothing worse. But using those solar-powered green technology items to compact the trash so we had to pick it up less often. Again, that's not a sexy thing, but man, that saves millions of dollars in your operations, and those dollars can be used to fund something else that has a great impact on city services.
Let me ask your opinion on the current state of affairs in city government, because this gets to our last set of questions about how well we're communicating with people about the use of their tax dollars. Whether, if I went on to the phila.gov website and gave myself 10 or 15 minutes, could I emerge with a clear sense of here's what we're trying to do, here's how well we're doing it, here's the need for improvement? Or where are we on that?
Yeah. I think we're falling a little bit behind, and I'd like to bring some of those conversations to City Council. I think it's our role to be a really strong board of supervisors and help communicate that with the mayor. I will say there are so many talented people who work in the public sector, and they are posting stuff on websites, and they are trying to push stuff out. And I go to a lot of civic association meetings and CDC meetings, and there's almost always a representative from city government there. But I think in this day and age, we should think beyond forcing people to go to a website because that's not really what people do anymore. They receive information in lots of different ways. And I think we can use programs like Philly 311 in new ways. All those people who send us information are people who are actively participating in the social space. And so how we can then push information back out to them is really important. People don't want to just spend time like, oh, what is that website of city government? Oh,
Right.
it's phila.gov. Why is it Phila and
Yeah.
not Philadelphia? So I think it's really important that we think about using new media and meeting people where they are, in addition to doing the website work.
So again, this leads to our sort of last bucket of questions, which is, our sense in sort of talking to a lot of folks is there's a fair amount of pent up frustration
Mm-hmm.
that maybe City Hall's broken.
Yeah.
And I say City Hall, not just the people and the processes in that building, but it's the politics
Mm-hmm.
that put those people in the building. So here we run into things like the impact of councilmanic prerogative. We run into the fact that not everybody has a meaningful vote on election day, particularly primary elections. We run into issues of transparency in city council or a lack thereof.
Yeah.
So, we've put out a set of proposals we're calling Philadelphia Resolution 1.
Mm-hmm.
Interested in your thoughts on that issue, and is City Hall broken, and if so, how do we fix it?
Yeah. I don't ever like to think government or city hall is broken. I think it's in a constant state of renewal. And there are just, I would always say there's a lot of opportunity to grow. So I would say it's not broken. There are always going to be actors that sort of mess up the culture or control the narrative. For the most part, city government gets stuff done. We don't always communicate it. We don't always see it. But I think, there's national politics, there's state politics, and sometimes that drives the narrative. People are really frustrated generally. And I think in a very democratic city, they're feeling the weight of the federal administration.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say there are certainly things that we are not doing in Philadelphia city government that other places do. And to your PR1 initiative, I am on board. I think we can be more open and transparent. In fact, I've put out in my action plan a whole area of ethics to focus on some of these issues that you're raising. I think we should talk with the state about open primaries to get people more engaged. We should have rank voting so that people can have a more of a say about who they know and who they feel strongly about. I think we can be more transparent generally in what we're doing. I've talked about nerdy things like productivity
Yeah.
banks.
How about councilmanic prerogative? I mean, that's
Yeah.
a phrase that people have learned to pronounce and spell improbably, but it's brought a lot of frustration
Yeah.
with it.
And again, I think I believe in representative democracy. I think that folks in City Hall and City Council should have some say in how land deals move forward because they're supposed to represent the neighborhoods and the communities they serve. I think, though, ultimately, we should put it in the hands of experts. We have a lot of great people in city council and in the mayor's administration who do this professionally. And we should leave it up to the professionals to decide what is the best market rate to sell a property at, and then how do we consolidate and coordinate within city government. We have the land bank, which is a great start, but we've got public property, we have the redevelopment authority, we have PIDC, who does commercial real estate. We have a lot of entities that work in this space, but we're not coordinating them. And instead, we're having everybody take a little bit of the fiefdom, and that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I think, kind of moving away from councilmanic prerogative will be a good thing for the city.
Good. We've got to wrap up, but Eryn Santamoor, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And best of luck to you.
Thank you.
So again, this is David Thornburg from the Committee of 70. And this is one of a number of council candidate interviews we're going to be conducting. going out on Facebook Live and on your favorite social media platform. Thanks to the Thomas Skelton Harrison Foundation for enabling us to do these interviews. If you want to learn more about candidates, suggest you go to our voter guide, which is you can find at 70.org, the word 70.org, or you can also download our We Vote app from your favorite app store, and that's a sort of a handheld suite of everything you need to know to be a voter on May 21st. And I'll end with that. Primary, May 21st, make a plan to vote, share it with your friends, give a little bit of time to thinking about who you're going to vote for, and that's the only way this works at the end of the day. So thanks very much, and talk soon.